Today I have the pleasure of speaking with George Putnam. How are you today, George?
Just fine, thanks, Tracy.
George, I'm just going to jump right into it, okay? I just finished PDAC and there's a buzz about Scandium. And I sent it to a couple of my analysts and one wrote back and said, but Tracy, there's not that much of a global demand for Scandium. Can you explain to us what the real demand is?
Yeah, absolutely. The demand for Scandium is has accumulated over the last 30 years. The problem is there is no supply to feed it. So there's a long list of potential applications for Scandium if there were the Scandium to supply those applications.
So in other words, it's a chicken and the egg kind of concept. If we have more Scandium, we'll have more exciting applications to utilize it, right?
Absolutely. The research is done. The behavior of Scandium in several products is well known, and those applications will be there when the Scandium is there to feed those applications.
And of course, our independent analyst, Chris Berry, says you are his #1 favorite Scandium company in the world for the deposit that you have. Now, not everyone out there is familiar with Scandium International Mining. Can you please give us a bit of an overview of who you are?
Sure. We were formerly EMC Metals Corp. We changed our name about 6 months ago to reflect better what we're trying to do in Scandium International Mining Corp. We have a terrific asset in New South Wales, Australia, a Scandium-only property in New South Wales. We are on a fast track to development of that property. We have a PEA on file with very good economics. And we have a finalized flow sheet, and we're working towards a definitive feasibility study now.
And of course, you certainly look like you're achieving benchmarks at a record speed. I saw a number of results, assay results. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your results were?
Sure. Well, these are new results, but they really didn't add to our resource. We have a substantial measured and indicated resource, and we have had for 4 years, since early 2010. What we did in this latest drilling program was we went back into an area that we've identified as a high-grade area on our property where we're going to concentrate our initial pit in development, and we infill drilled on 50-meter centers, and we stepped out on some 100-meter centers and got some fresh material for metallurgical test work, and we reconfirmed assays both with the traditional assay method and a new method that is getting some interesting and better results in all up and down the New South Wales lateritic belt, and that's the fusion analysis method. So we published all of that. Those assay results confirmed the high-grade pit. It confirmed we're in the right place to start our first 20-year project. We also provided some other data at higher cutoff levels, because some of the other people working in the New South Wales lateritic belt are showing their results on higher cutoffs, and so we wanted to sort of make an apples-to-apples comparison to some of the other information that's coming out for investors.
And I apologize, but I'm going to make you back up just a little bit, and I'm sure I'm going to take some abuse for this question, but I'd like to know more about your resource size. Can you talk to us about it?
Sure. We have a measured and indicated resource of 12 million tons. It consists of both limonite and saprolite, two different types of clay-based resource in the basin, and we established that in 2010. Now that would be, based on our PEA, would be in excess of 150 years worth of resource. We don't feel like we need to do any more drilling in the area or add to that. In fact, we believe we could double the size of our PEA, which would produce 36 tons of scandium oxide a year. We could double that resource, we could double that project and double it again and still have enough resource to take us the full 20 years.
Well, we just published a story about how the Russians are aggressively trying to corner this particular market and about the deposits they have in Russia. Can you talk to me a little bit about this comparatively?
Sure. I think we all have to give the Russians credit for their first successful commercial applications of scandium in the 1960s. The Russians found scandium in uranium and iron ore mines, particularly in the Ukraine, and they were very good at separating out relatively low grades of scandium from those resources. That they've tended to have assay levels, resource assay levels that are about 1/4 of what we have in New South Wales. And that's really the part of this story that has gotten so interesting in the last 7 or 8 years. The New South Wales lateritic belt contains a grade that is between 2 times and 4 times what we had traditionally seen through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And that's what made scandium so very expensive during those periods of time. That's the reason we didn't have any of it supplied. It wasn't, it couldn't be produced at costs that were made commercial sense. All that's going to change with these high-grade deposits in New South Wales.
And of course, in addition to this, I understand, because our audience loves technology, you have 5 patents pending that you just announced, and part of this is extraction processes, yes, sir?
Yes, that's true. We did 5 patents fairly recently. I mean, that's a reflection of 4 years of work on our flow sheet. It's a reflection of over $1 million spent on metallurgical test work. And we felt it was just prudent to protect our shareholders' investments in those things, that we would reserve the exclusive right to use those technologies in our process and maintain control of it. It also makes it much easier to work more openly with engineering firms and not feel like perhaps your flow sheet's going to get sold to someone else at a later date.
So you're moving extremely fast here, very aggressively, which is always exciting for us as shareholders. But what should we expect perhaps as benchmarks in the next couple of quarters?
Sure. We are looking to choose an engineering firm to do a definitive feasibility study for us, which we are targeting for end of year completion. And with that feasibility study and a mining license, we have what we need to go to the banks and finance this project for construction in 2016. We're looking for offtake agreements, as is everyone else in the industry, and we're working hard to bring that to the table in the next 3 to 6 months as well. I'd like to see that come to fruition, and certainly that'll send a signal to investors and to the marketplace that all this talk that we have spent a number of years presenting our story is really backed up by people in industry who want to use scandium when we're prepared to deliver it at a reasonable price.
Well, George, I'm delighted to get an update on Scandium International Mining. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Tracy. My pleasure.